Hello, welcome back everyone. Great to see you here. So, hey, I see this a lot, very consistent, frequent, happening all the time. You guys, you sales guys, you get so darn defensive, man. Well, I'm going to teach you how to not be defensive. Look, the moment you become defensive, what happens is you stop selling. So, hopefully I can get across to you and break down in this video the neuroscience, the psychology, and emotional frameworks behind why salespeople become reactive and how elite closers stay calm under pressure. I know I stay calm under pressure. I'm going to teach you how to do it. So you'll learn how to separate your identity from the outcome, regulate your emotions in real time, and maintain authority even when your prospects challenge you. So look, if you've ever been thrown off by one of those stupid objections, I get prospects and they're crazy, they're rude, or there's a lot of skepticism involved in their tonality and how they're speaking with you. Hey, look, this video will permanently change the way you approach your sales conversation. So go ahead and grab a pencil and paper. As always, hey, look, I get there's a lot of technology out there. If you're one that does things on a computer and takes notes, iPad, whatever, you need to be writing this down, okay? I don't care how you do it. Just do it. So, Module 1, the problem isn't their objection. It's actually your interpretation. Hey, it's the way you view the world. It's the way you anticipate things. And when I talk with salespeople, most salespeople think they become defensive because the prospect is rude. And actually, that is not what happened. See, your brain interpreted what they said as a threat, and that's a huge difference, right? You see, the prospect says this sounds expensive. And what happens is your nervous system hears, hey, you're bad at your job. Prospect says, I need to think about it. Your brain hears you failed. The prospect says, I've heard this before. Your brain hears not credible. So do you notice something? They never actually said those things, but your brain filled in the blanks, okay? And psychologists call this cognitive appraisal. Your emotional reaction doesn't come from reality. It comes from the meaning you assign to reality, okay? Elite salespeople don't change prospects. They change their interpretations. And how do you do that? You got to use language. You have to use sales frameworks. Hey, this part, I'm showing them this. This part, I'm showing this. I need to change their view right here. I need to change their identity right here. And that's how you do it. Look, in business, you fall to your system. Sales is the same thing. Got a faulty sales system? You're going to fail. It's just how it works. Got a good one? You're going to do well. All right, Module 2. Hey, I titled this one because we all experience it. We all have egos. I have an ego. You have an ego. Right? We're people, okay? So your ego is closing the sale, not you. That's the title of Module 4. One of the biggest mistakes that I've ever made was I thought I was defending my product, okay? I wasn't. Turns out, I've realized, you got to think, I've taken more sales calls than a lot of people would ever even imagine, okay? So I've realized this through the process that I'm defending myself, okay? That's what's actually going on. When someone questioned the program, I felt questioned. When they doubted the investment, I felt doubted. When they rejected the company, I literally remember feeling rejected. Okay, and the problem is it was ego. That is called ego attachment, right? Like your identity becomes fused with what you're presenting. Now every objection feels personal. The conversation becomes emotional instead of logical. The best closers separate themselves from what they are actually selling. Look, you're not your service, you're not your product, you're not even the company. Like you're simply the guide helping someone to make a better decision for their life. So you see, the less attached that you are, the more persuasive that you become. And if you talk to any of the people that I've trained, they would say, yeah, he stresses, who cares, who cares, who cares, help, and solve. I'm not there to get them to like me, I'm there to help them. So let's drop down to Module 3. Hey, and I titled Module 3, The Brain Cannot Learn While Defending Itself. I think you know that. It's neuroscience. People call it neuroscience. I call it common sense, right? To me, it's common sense. Let's think about it. The moment your brain detects a social threat, what happens is your amygdala activates back here. The heart rate rises. Your breathing changes, okay? Your working memory drops. Your listening decreases, and your curiosity disappears. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic and empathy, creativity and decision making, literally loses influence. Okay, now you're operating from survival, not intelligence, and this is why people interrupt, talk faster, over-explain, argue, defend, and justify. They're no longer thinking, they're protecting, and the prospect can feel it immediately. And what happens is that confidence disappears and that neediness takes over. Okay? So let's drop down to Module 4. Module 4. Hey, stop trying to win the conversation. I don't care about winning conversation. I care about winning. Okay? I care about winning. I'm going to stress that. But I don't want to win conversations. Like, what good does that do for me if I always got to win the conversation? That's like psychotic. Okay? So you don't have to do that. And most salespeople secretly believe this. Okay? They need to think, oh, I need to prove I'm right. Okay? That's debate psychology. Sales isn't debate. Sales is diagnosing. Like, I really try to stress selling like a doctor. I just can't stress that enough. So imagine a doctor arguing with a patient, okay? The patient says, I don't think that's what's wrong. Well, the doctor would say, no, you're wrong. Okay, well, ridiculous. The doctor asks another question. They become more curious. That curiosity regulates emotion. Defensiveness amplifies emotion. Every objection is simply information. Okay, that's it. We're just talking through something. It's nothing more and it's nothing less. So when you stop treating objections like attacks, they just become clues. Oh, boy, I love when they give me objections. I love it. I live and breathe for it. Are you kidding me? That means you're interested. They become clues. Look, every objection tells you exactly what belief still needs addressed. Okay? All right. Hey, Module 5. Go down to Module 5. All right? Write this down. Your nervous system is contagious. Your nervous system is contagious. You know, there were many years where I was shy, I was soft-spoken and quiet, and many people that know me, he was outgoing with us, but in public, no. Well, now, no. For years, it's been no. I mean, that was when I was much younger. For years, it's been no, because early on, I realized I'm making it worse. Like, it's me. It's me. It's because I'm so nervous, I make them nervous, then it's like, right? Look, humans synchronize emotionally. Okay? It happens all the time. If you become tense, they become tense. If you rush, they rush. If you become defensive, hey, guard goes up. But if you remain calm, slow, curious, and confident, their nervous system often begins matching yours. And this is why the best closers slow down after objections. They don't speed up. Silence creates authority. Speed creates anxiety. Control your darn control your brain. Control what's going on. Control your thoughts. What do I mean by control your thoughts? You know, I have thoughts, crazy thoughts, literally crazy thoughts all the time. They're not like, you know what I'm saying. They're just all over the place is what I mean, to be more specific. So I have to decide, hey, does this matter, does it not? Is this important, is it not? Boom, 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 and realign focus consistently. So constant auditing of the thoughts, and I'm all about my core things that drive me to the next level. And that needs to be your same thing too, okay? I can't get nervous about going into a sales call because the business owner brings in $50 million a year, you know, or it can't be my first client, I guess. I'm just going to go down a bunch of different scenarios, but even like your first client, like you shouldn't even be nervous for that. You shouldn't even be nervous doing outreach. Okay, what you put out into the world is how the world will respond back to you, and that's the same thing in sales. So I'll leave it at that. If you can control your physiology, you can often control the room. All right, let's go to Module 6, Identity-Based Selling. I have a dangerous belief. I've got a dangerous belief. You all share it, okay? And it's in those moments when you're thinking, I need this sale. And I need this sale. Or I want this sale. Okay, and the second that thought enters your mind, you're going to lose freedom because now your emotional survival depends on another person's decision. That's desperation. You know, you can control your thoughts, but you can't control outside events. Find this, right? Realize this and you'll find peace. So, I call that desperation when you need another sale, and the best performers replace outcome identity with process identity. So instead of saying I need them to buy, all you need to do is think, my job is to understand, my job is to help, my job is to uncover the truth, my job is to make the best recommendation. Notice none of those require a yes. You can execute perfectly and still receive a no, and that's emotional freedom. So let's drop down to Module 7. So as always, I always send you guys out to battle, send you out to war to have some good word tracks to use when you're fighting those fights, when you're on the sales call. And yeah, I like to view sales like fun. Like, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war type of thing. So just being an assassin salesperson is the way I like to look at it. So as always, I'm going to give you good ammo to go out there and win at the highest level. Module 7, advanced word tracks, okay? Hey, when a prospect pushes back, never fight energy with energy. You just diffuse the darn thing. So the prospect says, and they'll say this sounds like every other program. You know what you would say back? Hey, that's fair. What specifically makes it feel that way to you? Boom. The prospect says, you're just trying to sell me. I understand why it might feel that way. Help me understand what made you think that. I'm just going to put it back on them. They're going to explain it and realize it's actually nuts, right? It's too expensive, they'll say. And when people say it's too expensive, I think the best line that you can hit someone with is compared to what you were expecting. Oh yeah, what were you expecting for all of this? Right? It's like, make it make sense, Janet. Okay? Hey, the prospect says, I don't trust online programs, or I don't trust remote firms. One thing that's a good thing for you to say back to them is, well, tell me about the experience that led you to that conclusion. Notice something, okay? Non-defensive, non-argumentative. It's just curiosity. You see, questions lower emotional resistance, and statements often increase it. So whatever it's like they need to say it themselves, not me. I already got the answers. Okay? They don't. I have to make them realize the answers and sell themselves. It's a really easy game. It's a really easy game, boys and girls. It's a really easy game. All right, Module 8. Psychological reframing. Hey, I want you to permanently change one sentence, okay? Instead of asking yourself, why are they giving me these objections? I want you to ask, what belief is protecting them? So you see, every objection is protection. Write that down. Every objection is protection. You see, people protect money, time, identity, past experiences, fear, and risk. Your job isn't removing objections. Your job is understanding what they're protecting. And that's completely different. Module 9. Emotional detachment is a competitive advantage. You see, the best salespeople I've ever met all shared one trait. They were incredibly caring, but they were emotionally detached. And those sound contradictory, but they're not. They cared deeply about helping people. They cared very little about forcing outcomes, and that's why they stay composed. Okay, that's why the prospects love them and trust them. The less you need a yes, the easier yes becomes. Okay? Don't ever forget that. Module 10, I titled it the Elite Mindset. I want you to remember this, okay? The prospect is not your enemy. The objection is not your enemy. Every rejection isn't your enemy. Your greatest opponent is the story your brain creates in the milliseconds after hearing something you don't like. So if you can master that story, you're going to master sales, right? Because look, sales is never about controlling people. It's always about controlling yourself. And when you stop defending yourself, what you do is you finally create enough psychological safety for someone else to lower theirs, and that's where trust begins. So look, if you like this video, I gave you a nice rundown of how not to get defensive and truly diffuse and handle when they throw out zingers and weird stuff at you. So make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. And hey, on 3, success. 1, 2, 3, success.